Hey everyone, I am super excited because today I'm talking with Cori Cooper Anderson. Yes, that Cori Cooper from My Life is Liz on MTV. Fans of the show will remember her as one of the key players in the drama of season 1. Today we're going to be diving into what it was really like behind the scenes, how it felt to be portrayed the way that she was, and what she thinks now looking back. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing, of course, I have to ask about, which was what prompted me to reach out and do this interview, was learning that you were also a scene kid back then. And seeing that on your TikTok completely blew my mind. How did the preppier version of you on the show come about? Did MTV make you change your appearance, or was that something that kind of naturally occurred?
So it not necessarily naturally occurred. I guess it kind of did. But I feel like I've always been a very, I dress however I want. Half the time, do my clothes. Would they go together? No, and I've always been that way. And so I do feel like, though, once we started filming, I kind of knew that I had to dress kind of preppier. And like I said, I was, blonde, and I wasn't really in school, but on the show, obviously I was portrayed as like the popular girl. And so I feel like I kind of knew in my head, hey, this is what they want you to be and what they expect of you. So I kind of went with it from there, I guess. But honestly, like I said, they didn't want me to wear like a lot of black or have black nail polish or stuff like that. And so I wouldn't necessarily say I completely changed how I dressed, but like I said, I knew in my mind and in my head, like, hey, this is how I'm supposed to look for the show. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So you kind of knew like the character that they wanted you to play, essentially. Yeah. So they were trying to make you guys like opposite of each other.
Very much so. Yes. Yes.
So what were some of your like favorite emo bands or scene bands back then?
Yes. So, and this is still my favorite band ever, and everyone's probably going to laugh at me, and that's okay. I'm obsessed with Taking Back Sunday. I know they're terrible live. I know it.
Yeah.
Every time they come to town, I go see them. Taking Back Sunday, I love The Used. I'm obsessed with Burt McCracken. But yeah, Taking Back Sunday, The Used. Back then, I listened to like Under Oath. Funny story, my son, his name is Memphis. And we got that name from the movie Happy Feet, but it's because in the movie there's Memphis and then there's Norma Jean. And if you know the band Norma Jean.
Yeah, Norma Jean. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And my husband actually loved Norma Jean, but they, had the whole falling out and all that. And now Josh is in 68. We go see them every time we come, every time they come to town still now. But yeah, so I still go to shows all the time. We love live music, me and my husband. I don't just listen to like emo bands. And I listen to everything. I love, though, that's my heart is emo music. People will be like, oh, what music do you listen to? I just listen to sad music pretty much all the time. And then I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm usually a pretty happy person, but yeah, love me some sad music.
That's awesome. When you were kind of like in your emo or scene phase, did you do like this big scene hair and the makeup and all that?
Yes, I had my hair on the top of my head. We used to call it a peacock, and it was about this tall, and it stood straight up. I had the bangs. I had the little raccoon tail extensions that were, striped. I would actually, my hair was at one point to like here, but I would just wear like 2 extension pieces here to make it really long just in the front.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I always say, that's now most of my hair now is extensions, because I fried my hair off so bad. But oh yeah, I had the wild, crazy hair. Funny story, but I remember one time, so me and Liz were friends. Mm-hmm. We used to be really good friends. We hung out all the time. And I actually remember going to her, I think it was her grandparents' house, and her dad lived there in another house on like the property. And at this time, Liz just had like brown hair with some highlights, normal hair. Yeah. And I had crazy hair stuck out everywhere. And I remember her dad like pulling her to the side and telling her, you can never do your hair like that. Your friend looks like a weirdo.
Yeah, why were parents so adamant about like not letting us be
yes.
crazy
But yeah, her
looking?
dad was like, don't ever think about doing your hair like that. Which to me, I was like, oh, okay, like I can hear you. But it's funny now thinking about it because she, was supposed to be the weird girl. And in my head, I'm thinking, I thought your dad told you couldn't do that.
Yeah. Like it's like
So
you're
yeah.
versed essentially on the show.
Yes, yes.
We used to call like the peacock you were saying, we used to call that a palm tree out here because it looks like a little palm tree on your head and everything else
It did.
is straight.
Yes. Oh yeah. I don't know how many cheese straighteners I went through of just like steam.
Oh yeah.
I mean, your hair had to be so straight.
Did you ever have like a MySpace name, like how Seeing Kids did back then?
Yes, my MySpace name was Cori STFU. So Cori, shut the fuck up.
I love that.
Yes, that was my MySpace name. That was my I don't know how old you are. That was my AOL, like my AIM name.
Yeah, I'm 2 years younger than you.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, on that, I don't know if you remember. I want to say it's like Zanga or something.
Yeah, Zanga.
Okay, yeah, all over that. But yeah, it was Cori STFU.
I love that. As we mentioned before, like Leslie was considered an emo icon of that time frame because there truly were not like any emo kids in mainstream media, especially not reality shows. It was not of that time. It was still very
wasn't a thing. Yeah.
Underground. So how do you feel like if you were portrayed also in that light, like if you both were kind of like the emo girlies on the show, do you think your public perception would have been a little bit different?
Maybe, but honestly, I don't know. I feel like I was just made to be, the villain. And I'm not saying like I will admit I was mean to her. I was not nice to her. But again, I was 18. I was in high school. I have so many people in like comments like, you chose to act that way. I kind of did. But again, I admit I was mean to her. I was not nice. But I really don't think it would have changed how the dynamic of the show went. I feel like though the show pulled a lot of stuff from the movie Mean Girls, like my scene where we walk in and we're walking down the hallway by lockers. They literally took that scene from the movie Mean Girls and we're like, hey, we're gonna have Taylor fall. And so I feel like a lot of it I knew like, hey, you're being portrayed kind of as the movie Mean Girls or stuff like that. So I think how they made me dress either way, it would have been the same outcome. There always has to be a villain. Unfortunately, that was me. And I mean, I kind of just have to take it. It sucks. Yeah. Because again, like I've said in some of my TikToks, I didn't know that I knew a little bit, but I didn't know the extent of how they were going to portray me. I didn't know I was just the mean girl.
What was your first reaction when you saw that?
I think I was a little embarrassed, but then I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, that was me, but it was definitely embarrassing. And I feel like I was a little taken back, like, oh shit, like I acted that way kind of thing. And it was actually really hard because a lot of people think, like, oh, you saw it, you knew what they were doing. I didn't. I literally saw it with the whole world. Like, I didn't even get to know the name of the show. They would not tell me because I think that they knew, like, hey, I remember I would ask them all the time, like, what's the show called? Oh, we don't know yet. Oh, it's untitled. Because I think that they thought if I knew it was, My Life as Liz, it was just a show about her, I probably would have stopped filming.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense because if it's just showing you being mean to one person all the time instead of maybe how they were filming it, like, oh, this is like a true life, like of high school or whatever, it would have
very much so
act different.
Yes. So like, yeah, they used to, which I mean, honestly, I used to use it all the time to get out of class and leave school. Yeah. Like, because I was always mic'd up. And so I'd always be like, oh, hey, I have to go film. And I would just leave. But we filmed so much. Like we would film me and my friend Tori, we'd film us like shopping or film, me and my boyfriend out. I worked at a tanning salon then. So they filmed me at work and they used none of it. And I do now, like thinking back, a lot of the scenes I've now realized that showed me as like not a real person, but as a real person. I remember we were getting ready for prom, and my husband, my boyfriend, whatever, he dyed his hair hot pink to match my dress. Okay. And I remember they were filming us getting ready in the salon, and they kept telling me, okay, you need to tell him his hair is not pink enough. So they even wanted me to be mean to him, and I'm not mean. Yeah. But so they kept saying, tell him his hair's not pink enough. And so I was sitting there like, oh, your hair's not pink enough. No, really mean it. Really say it meaner. And I started crying and was like, I don't want to do this. This is ruining my whole prom experience. Yeah. They didn't use any of that. And again, I'm like, every time I showed any type of emotion or like to be a normal person, they just skipped right over that.
Yeah, after so of course I had to rewatch the entire series recently.
Yes.
And it's actually interesting because, watching it back when it first aired like 15 years ago, you kind of, I guess maybe it's just also coming from a young mind because I was like 18 around then. So I'm like, oh, wow, like, she's so mean. She's like this big character in the show that's like horrible to Liz. And then doing the rewatch, it's like, they didn't even use that much footage of you. And the only things they used were you just saying rude things.
Being mean, yeah. Well, and I think it's so funny. And I was actually talking to my husband about this yesterday. And again, like you said, being an adult and watching it, I work in a hair salon. And so all the girls are always like, oh my God, I want to see it. And for a while, you couldn't find it anywhere. Mm-hmm. But we would randomly find clips. And something that I think is hilarious now, because, I got so much shit for being mean and saying mean things, is if you watch in my intro of them, introducing me and me walking down the hallway to the millionaires, Liz literally says something about like, I'm shallower than a hobo's puddle of piss on the sidewalk. And I'm thinking, she would say like these crazy mean things about me, but that was okay. It was okay for her to be mean to me, but I couldn't be mean back.
Yeah, because she was the underdog, so we had to side with her.
Yeah. I just saw a clip somebody posted from prom, and I'm supposed to be like, I guess, being mean to Sully, which I love Sully. He's the sweetest guy. I saw him not that long ago at a wedding. Like, he's just the cutest, sweetest person, okay? And in the clip, though, I say like, oh, Liz, nice date. Yeah. And she says something about like, oh, he has more personality in his left nut. And in my head, I'm like, well, that was mean, but
they had her snapbacks be a little like harder for sure.
Yes. Oh, always. But yeah, so but again, like I said, looking at it now, I'm like, well, how come no one ever said anything to her for being mean to me?
There was a comment actually that someone left. So we had like a couple comments from people that just had direct questions. And one of them was about the prom episode. So they wanted to know if you really did lose prom queen and if that bathroom scene was real.
Okay, so yes and no. So yes, I really did lose prom queen, but I don't know. Because most of the filming started like second semester of my senior year. And so I had actually ran for homecoming queen. It was like me and there was like, some other girls or whatever. Well, didn't win. Well, you couldn't be prom queen and homecoming queen. And there was also something else called like Miss BHS. So the girl that won homecoming queen were like, okay, she got that. Well, then me and the other girl that didn't win, we were like, okay, well, one of us will be prom queen. One of us will be Miss BHS. And no, it wasn't like a dream of mine to be prom queen, but I thought, oh, hey, that would be fun. Well, I let MTV know that, and they were like, okay, we're going to campaign. We're campaigning for this. We had these hot pink bumper stickers. Actually, I still have one that says Cori Cooper for prom queen. I had to put them all over the school. But I think in my head, like I was kind of like, if I win, I win. If I don't, no big deal. Well, I remember at prom, them telling, I had to tell everybody to vote for me, go vote for me, go vote for me. Well, before we started filming, which thinking back now, again, I was an 18-year-old girl. I mean, 18-year-old girls are very impressionable. Mm-hmm. I will admit, I am a crybaby. I cry about everything. I cry if I'm sad. I cry if I'm happy. I'm just a crier.
Yeah.
And so, but I remember them coming to the table and they were like, we've seen like the ballot box or whatever, we've seen people voting, you're going to win. Like you're going to win. And in my head, I was like, oh my God, like that's super cool. Okay. So they, hype me all up and I'm sitting there, waiting there, say, oh, we're going to do the announcement. And when they announced the girl that won, that look on my face was real because they had literally just told me, you won.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they did that on purpose, obviously. And again, I'm not saying, I should have won. I would have won. She shouldn't have won. I'm not saying that at all. She won fair and square. And so I did get up and walk off and I did start crying in the bathroom because I was like, why would they tell me that if I didn't win?
Yeah.
And so kind of now looking back at it, I'm thinking, why didn't the wheels start turning in my head of they're lying to you, because at the time I thought these producers were great people. I thought they were, not necessarily my friends, but, kind of, they cared. They did not. I now see that. But yeah, like I said, I think now, why didn't the wheels start turning then of, hey, this is all for show? But it never did. And so, yes, I did start crying, but they didn't film that. And so then they had me come out of the bathroom and they were like, oh, oh my gosh, we must have seen it wrong. We're so sorry. But we need you to cry. And I remember thinking, what? And so they told me the, setup of the scene of, hey, we're going to have you go in the bathroom and cry, tell Tori that everybody hates you, all these things. And funny thing, I had already cried. I was like, I'm done. Like this, I'm over this. So they gave me contact solution and I had to pour it all over my face, which I was pissed.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm like, y'all are ruining. So yeah, I had to pour contact solution all over my face, cry, say everybody hates me, and then come out. Liz handed me a tissue. That was the scene. And later though, we were filming or doing something and I had a producer that I was pretty close to and he was always with me. I'm not going to say his name or anything because I don't know if people can get in trouble. I don't know. But anyways, I remember I think he accidentally said, we were talking about something about prom. He was like, well, yeah, you weren't allowed to win. And I remember thinking, what? And he's like, yeah, you weren't allowed to win. It would have messed up the whole scene. And in my head, I was like, oh, okay, thank you. So again, yes, I was lied to all the time.
Yeah.
And it was all for the show, for the scene. But which just to, I know Liz, one of her first videos was about the carnations and her saying, I didn't know that it wasn't a secret admirer that sent them to me. Well, see, I was told the opposite. I was told because when they said, oh, we're going to say you sent Liz a bunch of carnations. I remember saying, but I didn't. And they were like, yeah, but she knows it's not you. But now finding out, obviously she didn't know.
It's really interesting because, growing up in the 2000s, now looking back at everything, was insanely toxic for young women.
Yes.
And especially, two women that were essentially pitted against each other on a reality show. How do you feel like the show impacted you, if it did at all?
Oh, it did a ton. Not as much, but whenever it first came out, oh my gosh. And it was insane, the amount of hate that I got. Even my parents, people would come up to my parents like at their work and tell them, oh my gosh, your daughter is horrible. I can't believe you would let your child act like that. And my parents are like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, it's not real. But it was always crazy because I wasn't allowed to say that. I remember I would get calls all the time. So my dad is my ride or die. Okay. He will go to nothing to protect me. And he would get in fights with people all the time online. These are like internet trolls. And he would, always defend me of it was fake. But I would get calls of, hey, he needs to take that down. You have to take that down. You cannot say that this was staged or this was fake. So that was hard. I couldn't go anywhere by myself. We weren't married at the time, but my husband had to go everywhere with me. I remember being at the mall. I was actually in the dressing rooms at Forever 21. And I had come out and this girl was like, oh my God, you're Cori Cooper from My Life as Liz. Girl, all the doors opened of the dressing rooms and everybody came out. And I'm just standing there like, people would follow me around the mall, yell mean things at me. At the time I worked at Hooters And people would come, they found out people would come to Hooters, sit in my section so that I didn't make any money and just sit there and not order anything. Yeah, like I said, it was not easy. It was very hard because too, it was hard that I just got hate all the time, all the time. And it was one of those things that this gets old. And again, I felt like I couldn't really like apologize or say like, you know what, I'm sorry I was mean. I'm sorry. Because again, I feel like we had to have that animosity towards each other because it was still for the show. It was all for MTV. Yeah, I hated that. And actually, crazy enough, the promo pictures for the show were outside of like this little burger place. And you can tell I have a wig on because I dyed my hair brown. And so actually in all those pictures, I'm pregnant with my first son. And They were pissed. Yeah, they were pissed. But I was like, I mean, for one, we graduated and then I didn't hear anything about the show. Nothing. And so we didn't hear anything for like 6 months later. I'd already graduated. Yes, I got pregnant when I was 19. Big whoop-de-doo. People love to throw that in my face. But I would have people that told me like, oh, I hope your baby dies. I have like horrible things. Yeah. So that's why I wasn't in the second season because I wouldn't let them film my baby shower. We would be filming things and they'd be like, okay, do it again. Okay, do it again. I hated that. And in my head, I don't want to do this at my baby shower. And so at one point, MTV was like, okay, we're going to throw you a fake baby shower. And, you know, you're going to talk bad about Liz and you're going to do this and that. And I finally was just like, yeah, I don't want to do this. And so then my first son, he was actually born with something called gastroschisis. His intestines were on the outside of his body.
Oh, wow.
And so he was in the NICU for a long time. And again, I was 19 whenever I went through all this. He's fine now. You would never know. But I would not let them film me in the hospital. I would not let them film him in the hospital because that was my baby. Again, I already had enough hate and enough people being horrible to me that I wasn't going to add that to him. So that was one of the main reasons that I was not in season 2 was because I was like, no, you're not doing this to me anymore. And you're not filming my baby. So yeah.
Kind of about like going back to like what you're saying, like a lot of people were just like yelling at you. It was fake. It was fake. Yes. I've even gotten some comments on, you know, a couple of videos I've made where people were like, oh, this was all faked. It was all scripted and stuff. And I personally, when I first watched the show, I remember thinking it was just a straight up like mockumentary, like The Office, for example. Like I thought everyone was actors and it was just kind of like created to look like a reality show. So it was really surprising when Liz and yourself came onto TikTok and started talking about how, no, it was actually a reality show, but there were, you know, stage situations and parts. So was that kind of a shock for you to hear that people had no idea that it was technically real?
Yes and no. Because honestly, there were so many people that thought it was like completely real and everything was true. And so I felt like I was always fighting to say like, y'all, it was fake. It was not real, which is crazy because when I watch it now, it's so cringy and it's so embarrassing. And so, in my head, I'm like, how did y'all not know that this was, like you said, you even thought it was like a mockumentary. I don't know. No, there were so many people that were like, oh, this is real. You know, you said this, you did this. Yes, I did say or do, you know, some things. But again, everybody, or not everybody, but there were so many people that thought it was 100% real, which blew my mind because, again, like you had said, you know, you can so tell it was so scripted and so fake.
Especially looking back at it now, it's like...
Yes, like I said, it's so embarrassing.
The scene where you guys are at the ABC dance and you just walk up to Liz, you're like, why are you here? It's like, you can tell, and then Taylor just happens to come by and say, I'm picking Liz over you.
Yes, yeah, so that party was actually at Taylor's house. MTV threw that party, and it's so funny because... For one, I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird to me now because I'm like, it's a bunch of like 16, 17, 18-year-olds. We're all naked.
Yeah.
And
anything but clothes. Like, what were they thinking?
Literally, I wore gummy bears. I glued gummy bears to a bikini.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so what's funny though is that party, I don't remember why, but they wouldn't let my boyfriend come. They were like, no, he can't come. So I was like, okay. So it's just me and Tori like standing in the corner that whole party because we both were like, what are we doing here? It's funny too because, okay, so Taylor was, I want to say she was a grade underneath us or 2 grades underneath us. I can't exactly remember. But so it was mostly like a lot of her friends that were people that I didn't hang out with. And so I remember they gave out like swag bags and stuff, and they had like, you know, all these things in them. But yeah, so me and Tori literally just stood off by ourselves. And then, you know, Liz came in and they gave me a safety pin and were like, go pop her outfit. And I remember saying, do that? Like, no. And so, yeah, they would, you know, just kind of set it all up from there.
There was a question since we're mentioning Taylor Terry now.
Okay.
Person was asking specifically, I'd love to learn more about Cori's friendship with Taylor. Was the friendship staged as well? If not, what was the relationship like before and after the show?
Yeah, no, it was not staged at all. I love Taylor to death. She's hilarious. Like, she's one of the funniest people I know. And after we would, you know, kind of still talk to each other, but again, she did season 2. So, you know, kind of not necessarily grew apart, but no, I love her to death. We still will randomly, like, you know, message each other. Hey, you know, how are you? Her mom used to actually come to the salon that I work at. And so I would see her mom all the time. I love her mom. And yeah, she'd always be like, oh, Taylor said hi. You know, I actually still live in Burleson. Taylor moved, I think, for a while. I want to say she was living maybe like in Dallas. And then I'm not sure where she lives now, but this girl is like a crazy fisherman now. And it's hilarious to watch. Yes, it's so funny to watch because she was always like the really girly girl. And so now, and she always like full face makeup, hair done, all the things. And now she's like, has this, you know, huge fish in her hand. And I see her like putting her arm in a fish's mouth. It's so funny to watch now. But like I said, I'm so happy for her. She's doing so well. And yeah, no, I love her to death. It was not, we really were friends. And it wasn't a stage thing or anything.
When you were friends with Liz before the show and you guys had a falling out, like how long in between was it that you guys were good friends and then the show?
It was actually a while. So it was probably like 2 years. So I'm trying to think. Because, okay, so we weren't ever allowed to say why we weren't friends on the show. We were never allowed to talk about it. We were never allowed to say because it wasn't filmed. And again, you know, it was supposed to be, oh, you don't like her because she's weird.
Yeah.
But so I want to say it was like our sophomore year, you know, got into this big fight. I'm going to be really honest. Like I tried to fight her, like physically beat her up. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a bad time, but hey, that's what happened.
Girls in high school.
Exactly. I think I was like 16. And I remember, you know, we had to go to the office and she actually switched schools. Like she left Burleson and she was gone for like a year. And then came back. I think she either came back at the end of junior year or senior year. And that's the thing is when she came back, she had like, you know, her red hair, and she was different when she came back. And so which we really didn't talk to each other. We really didn't. It was just one of those of, hey, we don't like each other. So that's that. And again, I wasn't just some weirdo that would yell things at people in the hallways. Like they made it sound, it was always, and that's what's so funny. It's always in the hallways that they'd be like, okay, you know, you're standing with your friends and Liz would walk by and I would, you know, have to say something mean. But yeah, so we honestly we just kind of tried not to cross paths. But we cross paths honestly all the time because funny enough, like, okay, so like Troy, I love Troy. I love him to death. Me and my husband still see him and his wife all the time. I'm obsessed with his wife. But yeah, so like we still hang out with people from the show. Mm-hmm. But back then, and I honestly thinking about it, I never understood like the love connection with Bryson because Liz had a boyfriend, I'm pretty sure, like most of the show. Mm-hmm. And it was not anybody at our school. It was actually like one of my husband's friends, stuff like that. And so we were at the same places a lot of times and we hung out with a lot of the same people.
Which makes sense because, again, like we're just going back to the beginning here, like before knowing that you were also like kind of alternative and stuff before the show, it's like when you just see the show, you're like, how are these two people ever friends? And
Yes.
it
Oh,
seems
for sure.
really odd because you guys looked, to be so polar
Completely
opposite on the
different.
show. But now
Yeah.
it makes a lot more sense because it's like, well, yeah, you guys have the same interests and style,
Exactly. We went to
music, and
the
all
same
that.
places. Yeah. And I think it's crazy too. Like I said, I've said on one of my videos, my husband was the lead singer of a band. So I was at shows all the time.
Mhm.
And I think it's crazy now because I'm like, why didn't MTV ever come with us to those? But thinking about it, well, they didn't want to show me like that. They didn't
Yeah.
want people to see. But yeah, no, like I said, we would be at the same places all the time. And again, at the time, yes, we really didn't like each other, but it would be more just like, oh, I'd probably, give her a dirty look or something. It wasn't ever this big celebrity death match or anything.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real. If you had someone that you went to school with or even at work,
Yeah.
really like, you kind of just like see them and turn around or like try to
Yes,
go the
very
other
much
way.
so.
You're not
Yeah,
going to
no,
yell
that's
at
what
them.
yeah, I always think it's so funny, especially like the comments I get of, I can't believe you did this. And I was just talking to one of the girls that I worked with yesterday, and she goes, oh my God, if I had cameras following me when I was in high school, everybody would think I was a bitch too.
Exactly.
I mean, it's one of those things of, okay, I guess all these people that are yelling at me and telling me I'm so horrible, they have never been mean to anybody in their life.
Of course not. I also just found it interesting too that like some of the people that were coming onto your TikTok that were essentially trying to like bully you for being a bully 15 years ago. And it's like,
Yeah.
what's missing inside of you that you feel like this is justified?
Yeah, I actually this morning, and I'm in my head thinking, who is this man? There's some guy on one of my videos that's like, you had a choice. You chose to be a bully because you wanted to. You could have said no. And somebody commented under it and was like, dude, she was 18. And his response was, yeah, and that's old enough to know better. And finally I commented and I was like, dude, I said I was sorry. I said, yes, I said mean stuff. I'm sorry. And I asked, what would you like me to do? Like, what do you think I should do? Because apparently this man is a saint and knows all. But yeah, so it's really crazy, the comments that I get, because again, I'm like, y'all, it was 15 years ago, I was 18. Again, what should I do? Help. What do I mean,
What have you been up to since the show? Obviously, I mean, that's like a long period of time. It's almost been 2 decades now, but what are some things you want to share about your current life?
Yeah. So I have 3 kids. I have a 15-year-old, an 11-year-old. He's fixing to be 12. And then I have a 5-year-old. I've got 2 boys and then a little girl. They are so much fun. I love being a mom. I work in a salon in Burleson. I don't do hair. I did actually, though, go to school to do hair. And it's funny because I did it while I was in high school. And again, that was never shown. Actually, our graduation episode, I think it's like the last episode of the show, I totaled my car on the way to graduation.
Wow.
And since MTV didn't get that on camera, I was not allowed to talk about it. People were not allowed to ask me if I was okay. And they kept doing that at graduation. So I don't think I'm on the graduation episode at all. And there was actually a lot of people saying like, oh, she didn't graduate. Oh, I graduated with my cosmetology license. But I don't do hair. I actually do spray tans. And my sister owns the salon and I help like run everything I do, like reception, front desk. I'm like the salon coordinator. I do that. My boyfriend from the show is now my husband. We've actually been together for almost 19 years. We've been married it'll be 14 years in August.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, I am the normalest person ever. I still love to go to shows. We go to shows and concerts all the time. My husband is a tattoo artist, so I am at the tattoo shop a lot. I'm one of those people, it doesn't have to have a meaning. I'm just like, hey, let's go get a tattoo.
Free art for life.
Yes. I'm like, all these people are like, oh, what does your tattoo mean? It doesn't mean anything. It just means I wanted to have a good time.
It's pretty. Exactly. That's how mine are too. I'm like, there's only one that has meaning, but otherwise the rest are just like, I just wanted it.
Random. Yep. That's exactly. But yeah, like I said, I feel like I'm just a normal person. I'm pretty boring, but yeah, I really like scary, spooky stuff. I love to go like walk around markets. I love like little pop-up markets. I like doing stuff outside. Any type of adventure, I am down. I'm a very sporadic person. My sister laughs at me all the time because somebody can call me at like 3 p.m. and be like, hey, do you want to go on this like road trip, or do you want to go do this? Yes, I do. I would love to do that. I'm not a planner. I'm a very like, what is it? Fly by the seat of your pants or whatever. Yeah. I'm always down to do something fun, cool. And I am a busybody. I always have to be doing something. I hate sitting at home.
What's your astrological sign?
I am a Virgo.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yes, I am a Virgo. I am actually right on the like line. My birthday's September 21st. And so I think the cutoff is the 22nd. But I feel like I am all the way Virgo.
Would you ever, if they approached you again, would you ever consider doing like a reality show again? Or is that kind of just a one-time thing for you?
Probably not. Well, I feel like I know a lot more now. So maybe, but I feel like obviously now I would know like, hey, I need to know all this. I'm going to be super honest. My contract that I had to sign, I didn't read it. Like I just signed it. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to be on an MTV show. Again, I was 18. And so, no, I definitely feel like now I would be a lot more cautious, and I would have a lot more questions. I would be a lot more involved, I guess, like in production of, hey, exactly how is this going to go? I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, if MTV ever comes to your school, run the other way.
Yeah. Well, yes. So. Too, like you've mentioned multiple times, I mean, the scope of how they handle things now is so completely different than it was back then.
Yes, that's what's
straight
so
up
funny.
And manipulated to young people to get
Yes. And that's what's so funny is that, you know, there's so many people that are saying, you know, oh, this and that. If MTV came to your school, you probably would have done the same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting because I almost wonder if they could even try to make a show like My Life is Liz or, you know, Jersey Shore, Laguna Beach again, because people are a little more smarter and aware now. And
yes.
A lot of commentary about just some of like the new Netflix reality shows and stuff where the problem is that a lot of people go on the shows to get even more famous because they want more followers.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's all that of like people wanting fame. And what's so funny is I'm going to give him a little shout out. His name is Tyler. He's my cousin's best friend. And I love him to death. He was actually the one that was sending me all the TikToks and was like, oh my God, girl, like you got to get on this. And what's so funny is, you know, probably 10, 15 years ago, I had gone to, I don't know, something with my cousin, and he had said like, oh my God, your cousin is Cori Cooper. And I had no idea. Her friends were like, oh my God, because they all watched the show. Again, me not thinking anything of it. But yeah, so that's always crazy. But no, he's always like, girl, you got to monetize on that. You need to, you know, get your money, get your royalties. And sadly, there's no royalties. There's no money. But yeah, no, he's like, girl, get those follows up. It is crazy to me though, like how many views I have on my videos. Y'all, I have like 1,000 followers. But what's crazy is before all of this started, I had like 150. So I definitely have gained some followers.
Oh, yeah,
but yeah,
definitely.
But no, there's no money that I'm making from this. I wish I did. That would be amazing. But yeah, no, definitely, you know, hey, use that to your advantage. I don't know how.
Yeah. Well, once you get for like the creator program on TikTok, you get 10,000 followers. That's when you start like getting paid for views.
Yeah.
But girl, it's so hard out here.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, I don't think I have time for this. Yeah, because I've seen people that are like, oh my God, I have to, you know, make all these videos and post. I'm a mom to 3 kids and I work full time.
Yeah.
So
when I first started, the program was completely different than what it is now, and now they basically make it almost like impossible for
I heard that
shown and to actually make money off of anything. So I mean, a lot of people get kind of stuck in that trap of like that like dopamine rush from getting the views and the likes and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's been crazy every day. Every day when I wake up, I check my phone and it's like all these things, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And no, what's funny is my 11-year-old Memphis, he he reposts videos all the time on TikTok, and he has one that has like, I don't know, 1 million views. And so he always goes around and is like, yeah, I'm TikTok famous. And I'm like, dude, for one, your face is in none of your videos, because I'm like, you can't put your face out on TikTok. You're 11. And I'm like, isn't that a video that you reposted of somebody else? He said, no, Mom, it's not. And so I went and told him, I said, hey, I think I'm trending on TikTok. He's like, yeah, all my friends keep saying, I see your mom on TikTok.
Oh my God. So for anyone that does want to follow you and see what you're currently up to, where can they find you and what are your usernames?
Yeah, so obviously I'm on TikTok. It's Cori Cooper Anderson. I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is just Cori Anderson, and you can follow me. I don't mind at all. I'm checking because I don't ever look at my own Instagram name. But yeah, it's just Cori Anderson. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook. I think people say that old people get on Facebook, but I'm still on Facebook.
I know. I mean, Facebook was popping when we were, teenagers and MySpace and all that. So, I mean, people.
Yeah, but no, most of my stuff is just Cori Anderson. People always laugh, and what's crazy is we never noticed. But yes, my name really was Cori Cooper. Liz is really Leslie. Her name's Elizabeth, but Elizabeth Lee. Taylor, really Taylor Terry, and we again never noticed that we had the same, last name and first name. That was never brought up until people started noticing that now. Yeah,
so like
yeah. Everyone's always like
LLTT.
yeah. No, people say that on him. They're like, oh, that had to have been done by MTV. It wasn't. Those are really our names.
That's amazing.
But no, most of my stuff now is just under Cori Anderson, because I felt like I had to kind of drop Cori Cooper because people were crazy.
Thank you so much for your time.
Of course, yes.
I would have never thought in a million years I would be talking with Cori Cooper from my Liz. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad we could do it. This was fun.